We want to know if a linear model is a good way to describe the relationship between the distance and drilling time. To check that, we'll use the TI-84 to make three things: a scatter plot with the regression line, a residual plot, and a box plot of the residuals. If the residuals look random and center around 0, then a linear model is appropriate. First, I'll enter the distance and time data into the calculator. Press Start, then choose Edit and press Enter. I enter the distance in L1 and I enter the time in L2. After entering the data into the calculator, I will get out of the screen by pressing second quit. Next, I will find the least squares regression line, press Stat, use the right arrow to highlight Calc, and go down to number 4, enter. I store the X values in L1 and the Y values in L2. Leave this blank. And for the regression line, I want to store it in one of my Y equations. So press vars, go to the right to Y vars, and choose function, so enter. And you can choose any of these Y's here. I'll choose Y2. So I tell the calculator to store my equation in Y2 and calculate. My regression line has the form of y equals ax plus b, and my a is 0.01155 and my b is 5.5273. So if I want to write down the equation, it has to be y equals 0.01155x plus 5.5273. And remember, I stored the equation in Y2. So if you press this button right here, you see this is my regression equation. Now, if I want to graph my scatter plot with the line, I need to go to Stat Plot. So I press second and then Y equals. I will choose the plot 1. Make sure plot 2 and plot 3 are off. I'll choose plot 1, enter. And then in here, I need to turn that on. So make sure I hit enter to highlight it. For the type of the graph, I'll choose the first one because I want the scatter plot. Enter. For the X list, I will replace this with L1, second one. For the Y list, is L2, second 2. And I'll press graph. Since this is not in the right window, so I don't see anything, I need to zoom it to the right window. So I press zoom and I go down to choose number 9, zoom stat. The blue dots are my scatter plot, the points on the table. And the red line is my regression line. Remember that I store the equation in Y2. That red line is the line from the equation in Y2. Here we can see the scatter plot, which shows how drilling time changes as the distance increases. The regression line is a line that best fits these points. It shows the overall trend in the data. If most points stay fairly close to this line, that means the linear model might be a good choice. But to really check how well the line fits, we need to look at the residuals, the differences between the actual times and the predicted times. So next, we'll graph the residual plot. After the regression, The calculator has already stored the residuals in a special list that's called RESID. To find it, you go to List, so press second, Stat, and you scroll down, you see this on number 8, press Enter and Enter. This list is your residual. And now, I want to store this list in L3. To do that, I go to Stat, Edit, and highlight L3, and then press second, Stat, and go down to number 8, Enter, Enter. My residuals are stored in L3. To graph the residual plot, I will graph L1 and L3. L1 is the X value and L3 is the residual value. To do that, I go back to the stat plot, second Y equals, and on the plot 1, I choose the same type of the graph. The X list is still L1, but the Y list now is the residual. So I'm going to replace this with L3. And then now, press graph. I still see the line here. But for the residual plot, I don't want this line. So I go to Y equals, this button right here, and I'll clear this and go back to graph. I'm not in the right window, that's why I don't see anything. So go to zoom and go down to zoom stat. This is my residual plot. This is the residual plot, which shows how far each point is from the regression line. We want the residuals to look randomly scattered around 0 with no clear pattern. If there's no pattern, that supports using a linear model. To get an even better sense of how residuals are distributed, we will now make a box plot of the residuals. Now, I want to make a box plot for the residuals that I saved in L3. Press second Y, and I'll just choose the plot 1. And under the type, I choose the box plot, enter. And I want to graph the residuals, so I replace L1 with L3. Leave the frequency as 1. And the color, I'll just choose blue and hit graph. Again, I'm not in the right window, so go to zoom and go down to number 9, zoom stat. This is my box plot. This box plot shows the overall distribution of the residuals. The residuals are centered around 0, and the box and whiskers look fairly balanced with no outliers. So, based on the scatter plot, the residual plot, and this box plot, a linear regression model appears to be appropriate for this dribbling data.